Okay, episode 3. Again, I'm driving. I want to talk a little bit about how to see the unseen, what lies beneath. The first really important thing is to realize that you are brainwashed and that your mind is not as aware and not as logical and not as knowing as you think it is. If you read some books about psychology, you will find that what our brain tries to do is see patterns. Also, and because we can't interpret the entire world, we are recognizing things and saying, oh, that fits into a pattern that I've seen before. And we try to get things to fit into a pattern way of seeing. The other thing, and this really blew my mind about 22 years ago when I read a book called Leadership and Self-Deception, is the concept of self-deception. And this is something that is far more prevalent than anybody realizes, and those who believe they are not deceived are actually the most deceived, period. We are all deceived constantly, and we are all deceiving ourselves constantly. The reason that we are deceiving ourselves is to avoid pain. It is very painful to believe, number one, that we would ever do anything to hurt anyone else. It's painful to believe that we are imperfect. It's painful to believe that we aren't smart, that we as adults, as parents, maybe are doing a bad job. It's painful to believe that maybe I don't work as hard as I should, maybe I cheat a little bit at this or that, and so I'm sure that we talk about rationalization a lot of times. Rationalization is a tool of self-deception that we use to help ourselves not feel as much pain as we might otherwise if we faced the truth of everything. And I know you're going to say, well, I know that's everybody else, but it's not me. It's everybody. It's you, it's me, it's everyone. And to the extent that you can dig and realize your imperfections, you may be able to resolve those. Now, they're not as painful as you might think they are. They should be. Facing them as Christians with the gospel, we are supposed to believe that we are imperfect, natural man people who will always sin, will always get things wrong, and always will need Christ and the atonement to get us to where we need to be. Unfortunately, that narrative really, it doesn't come, people don't really believe that as much as they really should. A lot of times we want to believe that everybody is good. Well, that's actually the exact opposite of this fallen world, is that people are naturally bad. And so when we are brainwashed, we're brainwashed to believe the government's good, the schools are good, the church is good, authority is good, we need to bend to whatever they say. That's the brainwashing that goes on, and they've done a very good job of that. I'm not saying everybody's bad. I'm not saying people are all bad or all good. I'm saying everybody has some bad in them, and everybody has self-deception in them, which really causes a lot of havoc in our society. Going back to ourselves, though, this is something that if you can internalize this over years and decades, it will help you to be able to work on and polish off the hard edges and understand yourself and be able to move forward. When somebody comes to you and says, hey, you did this and this really hurt me, our natural tendency is to go, oh yeah, well, you're an idiot, and remember when you did this to me, and so I don't even know why you would be saying that to me, because you did that like 10 times worse than I did, and so shut up. And end of conversation. And it could be, and it probably is, that there was a nugget of truth in what the person came to us and was telling us. And it could be that even when people treat us bad and say mean things to us, that there's still a portion of that that's our responsibility, and that we need to take accountability for. At least an honest person, a person who is not self-deceived, should be able to, and this is very, very difficult, should be able to look at a situation where somebody came to them and started crapping on them, and maybe that other person was having a bad day, but if you are a truth teller and able to rise above the situation and see it for what it really is, you should be able to look at that and say, well, I know they're in a bad mood, they're PMSy, or they've had a bad day, or woke up on the wrong side of the bed, whatever it is, I know that, but you know what, when what they said to me and about me, there might be a nugget of truth in there, so I'm going to try to do better at that. A person like that is going to get very far in life because they're willing to work on themselves. Jordan Peterson talks a lot about this. There are people who identify with what they know, that's an ideologue, and there's people who identify with what they don't know, and that's a truth seeker. And then there are people that do both, and he says they go across the two transformations, which is you can identify with what you know, but you're open to what you don't know, and you're moving back and forth and learning the whole time. So be a truth seeker. Tell the truth about who you are, and be willing to change and improve and get better. And as you do that, your eyes will be open to truths about yourself and what you are missing about your life. We love to look outward. We love to point the finger outward and say, you know what, I would be in a better mood. I would have a great life if it wasn't for X. If it wasn't for this person that does this to me, I would have peace. What if you were strong enough that no matter what X did, it didn't ruin your day? It didn't offend you. It didn't cause a change in your emotions. It didn't anger you. When we talk about negative emotions, and those are anger and resentment and jealousy and depression and anxiety, all of those things, they're negative emotions. It would be best to completely rid ourselves of those negative emotions. And we do that not by getting rid of the outer stimuli that are causing that, but by being mature enough to say, I can take criticism, and it doesn't have to be so painful to me that, or I don't have to be blind to it and push back and say that doesn't exist, because that doesn't help at all. But if you're able to take that criticism without it ruining your day, that makes you an extremely powerful person. And if even more powerful, if you can take that criticism and not just say, oh, they're an idiot and I'm not letting it ruin my day, but take that criticism in and say, you know what, I'm going to write that down and I'm going to fix that. So instead of being acted upon all the time and saying, oh my gosh, that person ruined my day, and I'm really resentful, I'm really angry, I'm very emotional about that, I don't know if I'll ever be the same, and I'm going to feel differently toward that person. If instead of doing that, you can take that criticism and say, you know what, I'm going to write that down. That's another thing that I'm going to work on. And you go back to that person and say, you know what, I realize that there's some truth in what you said, and I'm really sorry about that, and I'm actually writing that down, and I'm going to work on it. I hope you can forgive me for that. And then you actually write it down and work on it and start changing yourself. And you know that's going to be something that's going to take a long time. It's going to be an ongoing process. But as long as you realize that and you continue to work forward on that, that changes you from somebody being acted upon to somebody acting. And that whole frame of mind of being powerful and being able to take things and have power over those things rather than being acted on and going, oh, you're killing me with all of your negative energy and whatever, and I've got negative energy now because of your negative energy. Well, apparently you're being acted upon instead of acting. So this makes you a much more self-aware person. This is the first step in being able to see the unseen, is being able to see who you are, yourself, and being able to work on yourself. This is something that needs to be a lifelong process. We are never going to arrive at, I'm going to pass somebody here even though, hang on. Okay, I'm going a little faster now. Don't ever believe that you're going to arrive. That is, as humans, we want to say, you know what, I want to be rich so I can go sit on a beach for the rest of my life and have arrived and I'll be happy. Well, that actually doesn't achieve happiness for anybody. Now, don't get me wrong, I love sitting on a beach and it makes me happy sitting on a beach. But long term, that is not the source of peace and happiness and contentment. So when you work really hard, you're working for something, and you're looking forward to going and being able to rest and relax on a beach, there's some satisfaction in working hard and then also going and being able to take time and relax and recharge and then going back to work. And that will make you much more happy. We'll talk about some principles of happiness a little bit later. Anyway, principle 1 for how to see the unseen is look at yourself and improve yourself. Stop being acted upon and begin to act. It would be very productive to look at what are those outward things that really offend you, that really get you in a bad mood, and say, how can I change myself so that, number 1, I don't maybe do so much of that, but number 2, when that outward stimuli comes to me, I'm strong enough to be able to resist it. I'm strong enough to be able to take that on and not let it ruin my life, not let it ruin my friendship with people, because there's always going to be that. But I'm actually a powerful enough person that my emotions don't fly all over the place based on other people, because that means you're too easily influenced by the outside world. Okay, that's the end of this episode. Got lots more for you coming up. See ya.